What's going on, YouTube? Lasagna here, back with another episode of Road to 2000. Today's episode, we're starting at 1709. You guys may have noticed I have edited the scene such that my rating and my opponent's rating are displayed in the game. Look at that, innovation. So hopefully everything looks all right. And hopefully we get the victory here against Matador, El Matador from Colombia. If his connection will hold up. Okay, so we're starting with a 25-second time advantage. We all know I could use that. So we're getting I believe this is called the SMITH-MORRA, where they sack the pawn here. I don't think we've actually faced this before. And I generally don't like to take twice, because it gets really tricky. Sorry about the sirens outside, by the way, if you guys are hearing that. I think I am going to take again here on e4. I don't think bishop d3 is correct. At least it doesn't seem like it is, because I can just kind of attack the bishop here in the center, and we'll probably have to move it back. Now I kind of just want to play knight c6, just continue developing. And we'll see if he takes in the center here. And at this point I could already consider taking the pawn myself now, because if you think about it, like, maybe he's out of book now that I've got him to put his bishop here. So like maybe if I take now, like usually I think the idea is in the SMITH-MORRA, you put the bishop on c4. So maybe now it makes sense to take. Like, yeah, he could trade queens there, but I could take with the knight and I'd still be able to castle and stuff. He would gain a bit of an initiative with the development, but I'm also considering just going d3 here and like d3, knight f4. Yeah, maybe it's a little tough to hold on to the pawn. So I think I will just take. Offer the queen trade here. And we are up a pawn, so basically what I'm arguing is that I can hold on in this position. Let's develop our knight back. Because with queens off the board, I'm a lot less scared of a potential attack on the king. So now I don't think the development advantage is as problematic. So let's just, I don't know, I could put the bishop kind of anywhere here. This move kind of looks good to like pin the knight here. Kind of an unusual diagonal for the bishop, but I also kind of like it. Just pinning the knight here, because I think putting the pawn on e6 makes a lot of sense in this position. Let's just develop our other bishop, castle the king. Yeah, let's just go bishop e7, why not? Develop all the pieces here, go for a quick kingside castle, and just play the game of chess. We get knight d4, attacking the pawn here. Rook c8 comes to mind. Not the move I really want to play, but I don't see too many other great ways to defend the pawn. Let's just go rook c8 here. Keep it simple. And hopefully kingside castle next move. And guys, if you're enjoying the series, make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. That would greatly help out the channel. And I did just hang a pawn here. Seems like every time I say to comment, like, and subscribe, I then hang pieces. That's not great. Let's just go, I guess let's just go here. I think I want to put my rook on b7 here and just maybe put some pressure down the file a little bit. We do also have the two bishops, which is generally considered a little bit stronger than the two knights. So I guess that is a slight advantage, but I don't know. I think we kind of threw our advantage a little bit. Okay, so if we take the pawn here, what's going to happen to me? Like, he could move the knight anywhere and hit my rook. So that maybe doesn't seem like the smartest thing to do. Yeah, let's not do that. Let's just, I guess I could go here, but then he sticks his bishop here. That doesn't seem very good. I could go here and try to connect the pawns, but then he has two two outside pass pawns there. I could take this way. Maybe that's somewhat reasonable. I'm just going to do it to make sure I don't go down super far on the clock. Because yeah, if I take this way, the prospect of these two pawns flying up the board, he's even got the rook behind here, which, by the way, is also just a scary prospect right now. Okay, so he takes. I'll take back here. Now, this bishop isn't great. I could go here just to try to stop the pawns from advancing. That seems like, I don't know, the bishop would be very, I don't know, on the corner of the board. Doesn't look great there, but I think his idea, actually, you know what? Maybe this is a good move, because his idea is probably that he wants to come here and put pressure on my backwards pawn, so I think this move does actually make a bit of sense. It's kind of a dual purpose move, covering c1 and stopping this pawn. All right, I could go here. Just protect the pawn. I feel like we aren't much better in this position. I feel like we might even be a little bit worse. Like, this knight might, well, might cause us some problems down the road, but I don't know. His forward progression is halted at the moment, but if I was him, I'd probably play like this move. Okay, that's a bit of a strange one. I think I just want to go rook e8. Maybe h6, create a escape square for the king, or f6. Okay, he's creating a couple of weaknesses here. I think f6 makes some sense. I also kind of like the move, the look of c5 and e4. Just starting to push my pass pawn up the board. So let's go c5 here. c5, d4, and probably can't hurt to have the pawns a little bit closer to the promotion. I'd like to also play f6 at some point. It cuts off the bishop and kicks the knight out. Okay, let's go here, I guess. Could consider this move. f6 here. Let's go f6, create the square for the king. I'll probably play d4 next. The reason I want to play f6 in this position is that I'm probably going to play d4, and I didn't want him to plop his knight on this square because it looked kind of like an outpost there. But if I play f6 first, then he's got to move, so he can't immediately get to c4. So I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, and I also am considering this move. Looks pretty decent to get this bishop back in the game. Operating on the long diagonal here. There's also this. I guess he takes. Okay, so let's go here first. I think we're like much better, by the way. I love what's happened in the past like 7 moves. Feels like he's created some weaknesses. Our pawns are further up the board. We have the E file. Actually, I really like what's going on here. Okay, let's just stack the rooks, I guess. Okay, don't really know what that move does. I could go here to try to double the pawns and attack this one behind. Kind of a weird move, but I also kind of like it. Like, doubling the pawns here looks pretty good, because then he'd have just... we'd have a ton of targets. Okay, so let's do it. Let's create the targets here. This feels like an important moment. So I could trade off all the rooks. I don't know if I'd be able to win that, though. What if we just go here? This looks kind of good. Just pin the bishop. Let's just move the king up a little bit. Our pawn's always protected here. Okay. Let's just go here. Attack the pawn. Guess he could come forward, but... oh no, he can't. That hangs the bishop. Okay, let's take and take, I guess. And I like our time management. We actually are slightly ahead on the clock. Who would have known? Lasagna can play quickly. Yeah, so let's just take here. Attack this one as well. Now we're up 2 pawns, which is good. Let's just go here. Rook behind the passed pawn, probably a decent idea. Even if he, yeah. Okay, so we could like hit the bishop and then try to trade rooks. Let's go for that, try to control the file. Slowly but surely here. This has been a very like kind of positional game. I feel like we're playing well though. Hopefully this keeps up here, so... alright, let's see. If I just start pushing now, like what's he gonna do? Like here, takes... here... if he comes back, should just be rook there. And if he goes bishop a5 there, then there should be this move. Let's try this. Maybe it just comes back and attacks the pawn. Yeah, this is what we calculated, but I thought after bishop a5, there should just be this move. I think he might have blundered here. Okay, well, that should be GG. Let's go check, pick up the pawns. should get a resignation here, but maybe he'll keep playing a little bit. Problem is he can't even really stalemate because he always has a bishop here. Let's go check. Let's go check, I guess. There we go. All right, and we've slain the Matador, folks. That was a good game. Let's take a look, see how we did. So a good game there. Felt like we played pretty well. I played with a 79%. He got a 71. But it just felt like we were kind of squeezing him the whole game, you know? Like, he didn't have much of a chance, and those games always feel good. So I'm happy with that. So we get the Smith-MORRA here. And I like to play d5 in this position. I'm not, like, super booked up here or anything. But this is the line I like to play. The problem is if you take here, then he takes with the knight, and he has like, I guess this is fine for black, but it just gets really dicey really quickly. There's like lots of lines where you get attacked. It's a very scary gambit to face, so I like to just play d5 instead. So he goes bishop d3, which is a mistake. I decide to take and play knight f6, just developing the knights, and I decide to take here. Just because now that the bishop's on f3, I figure my opponent's probably out of book, so I'm not just going to get crushed by some really scary attack. And you know, this also invites a queen trade, which we'll happily take since we're up a pawn. I don't think this is a big inaccuracy. I guess e5 was a bit better, but anyways, we decide to take here. We get a queen trade. He develops the knight, and we get this position where we're just up a clean pawn. Not really any compensation here for white. Bishop a6, I guess not best. He develops his bishop. And at some point I just hang a pawn here. After he goes back, I kind of just forgot that rook c8 left this pawn undefended. Wow, castling is still the best move though. That's interesting. I guess it does say, okay, it does say c5 in this position. I thought he was going to go bishop e5 here. Okay, now it says I can take. Can't he, like, attack my undefended bishop here, though, with, like, bishop d5 hitting the rook, or knight d5 hitting the rook? Okay, engine says takes, and c4. And this seems unnecessarily complicated. Like, it's very imbalanced here. He's got two rooks, and I have a minor piece and a pawn for it. But I guess the bishops are really strong, and this pawn's flying up the board. I don't think this is something I'd realistically go for. So we do this instead, and this just felt a bit more stable. Bishop a3 is a miss, I guess. Okay, it says c5 in this position. I ended up seeing this idea later. Yeah, I guess the connected pass pawns that are only a few squares away from promoting is really good. And I probably have this move, and like I could probably anchor this bishop on this really nice square here. Maybe that was the way forward. But I missed that, and I decided to go bishop a3. And this felt like it offered me a pretty solid advantage, just because white's primary idea is probably to push this pawn down the board. So it felt like having this bishop here, where I could permanently defend a potential pawn on c5 and block the advancement of his pawns, felt like it was pretty good. But yeah, he goes knight to e5. I guess that's a miss. I go here, just defending the pawn. h4, we go rook e8. A lot of misses here, I guess. I don't know what we were both missing here. I guess engine wants knight d3. Okay, yeah, engine really wants me to do this idea with c5, which we eventually saw. Okay, maybe knight d3 prevents c5. Maybe that, yeah, okay. So c5 and d4 were just so strong here that the engine's just yelling at both of us because he was missing knight e3 to stop it, and I was missing the idea. But yeah, I eventually find it, and in this position, now we're just like cooking, because you know, the bishops are pretty strong here. We have a connected pass pawn really close to promotion, and we have you know, the square for our king. We're fighting for the e-file. Everything seemed like it was going very well, and these weaknesses also with the pawns that he randomly advanced. We decide to stack here. I guess engine wants rook a8. That's kind of weird. Don't really understand that move. But I decided to stack. And this is kind of a sexy move. Hitting the knight, threatening to double the pawns and the pawn behind, so he can't even do anything. We get king h2. I decided to take and go here with the pin. He runs his king forward, and I decided to take and then take the pawn. And yeah, in this position, we're just up 2 pawns, just a winning endgame. So not much you could do here. In this position, I thought his best try was to just go back with the rook, hitting the pawn. Because, yeah, taking this pawn was not a good idea. Like, after this, I don't even really know if I have a great way to defend the pawn here. Engine wants me to go rook c6. And rook b6, okay. What if he just goes back? Sometimes it's so weird with the engine when it just repeats moves like this. Okay, now it's saying rook c7, okay. Really just liking the idea of chasing this bishop around. This is the weirdest line I've ever seen. But, okay. Anyways, not going to pretend like I understand any of that. I don't think the engine even understands what it's doing there. But we just go here. And he takes the pawn. So none of that even matters, because we just have d2 here. And I calculated this in advance, and I saw rook h1. And I thought a try that he might go for is this. Because if I queen, I guess he still loses, because he's like just getting a rook and I have a queen. So I guess that doesn't even really work, but I also just have this move, which cuts off the bishop. And he's still got the same problem here where the rook can't really stop the promotion. And the rest was history. I think we just, you know, push the pawn forward, convert the endgame, and GG's. So a good episode there. If y'all enjoyed, make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. And we will see you on the next one.